Welcome developers to watch our Super API tutorial. We will start with the introduction section of Super API. The development document is a key document for developers to get a full understanding of the development lifecycle of Super API. It provides a detailed graphical and textual introduction to the product. Now let's have a step-by-step introduction of Super API. Super API is a set of programming interfaces developed based on JavaScript. The target users of Super API are front-end web developers. Super API supports mainstream JS frameworks. It can be installed and imported through a packaged management tools. Based on Super API, users can load AES on a web page and create any HTML elements themselves. When a developer tried to build an application similar to the one shown below, the division of work between developer and 51 World is as follows. First, 51 World will create the scene. The developer loads the scene rendered by WDP through the browser. Developer can either choose to create an user interface with WebJS themselves or use Super GUI to build up an user interface in a code-free environment. The interaction between the scene and the user interface will be implemented by the developer through Super API. This interaction is two-way. The following example video will demonstrate it. This example is a collaboration between 51 World and its partners in the form of Super API development. When the user clicks a user interface element made by the developer on the web, the Super API method is called to make the scene respond. There are two types of two-way interaction. One is when the interaction event occurs on the user interface. The other is when the interaction event occurs in the scene. In the first type of interaction, the web interface can actively call the Super API method to make the scene respond. In the second type of interaction, the scene will inform the web interface that an interaction event has triggered. At this time, the web interface will build a subsequent logic in Super API's event listener or callback function in advance. Indiana the example. By listening to the click callback of POI, the developer can call the method of focusing the camera on POI to drive the scene camera to the preferred position. After introducing Super API and the cooperation form with developers, let's go back to the Super API development documentation. The development documentation includes three major parts: guide, learning, and interface documentation. The guide section introduces the technical architecture of Super API and version compatibility. The learning section introduces the scene startup method, the use of the editing platform, how to write the first demo application, and the development integration with mainstream front-end frameworks. In the Event Listener section of the interface documentation, it introduces the Event Listener handler function and the way to open the Super API log. After enabling the log, all API call information will be printed on the console. In other chapters, all API call methods and callback information are introduced. Those API methods focus in two aspects: camera and overlay. The core function of the overlay is to display spatial geographical location information in different dimensions, from a point, a line, to a surface, and more. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.